Well, hello there. It's been a minute. So as I try to start getting back into the swing of things, I want to talk about a CPU that I just picked up that got almost universally panned as a bad deal when it first launched, but at its new price, it might actually be worth considering for at least a select group of people. And that is the Ryzen 4500. Let's talk about it. So the Ryzen 4500, this is an older architecture CPU, definitely not on AMD's current node. It's on a past Zen architecture. This particular one is Zen 2, but it's even not really just normal Zen 2 like the Ryzen 3600. This is based off of AMD's APU, so think like the 4600G instead. It's just that it doesn't have the GPU enabled. One of the big differences you're gonna see between the Ryzen 4500 and other Zen 2 CPUs that were on their sort of mainstream platform that were not based off of an APU is over here in the L3 cache. That's where you're gonna see a big difference, where the Ryzen 4500 has significantly less L3 cache than its Ryzen 3600 counterpart. Now, with that said, for a lot of gaming PCs, it's still gonna be plenty of CPU to get up and running with. It's 6 cores, 12 threads on a pretty new platform, and keeping in mind that it's an AM4 platform, you have a fantastic upgrade path for the Ryzen 4500. Now, the big downside of the 4500, at least when it first launched, was that $130 price tag, which was just not at all worth the price that you were paying for the amount of CPU that you were getting, especially with just better options out there for not much more. But the new price the 4500 is going for is much more intriguing. And that's mostly because right now the Ryzen 4500 not only comes with a game with purchase, the Uncharted game bundle comes with this CPU, depending on, of course, where you actually are able to pick this up, but it seems at several retailers, and for a little while now, it's been around $80. Like, I picked mine up from GameStop for right at $80, but it's actually $1 cheaper on Newegg, at least as of the time of recording. And you can also pick it up at Best Buy for a similar price. And I picked mine up over a week ago. So this does seem to be at least semi-permanent as far as the price drop goes. And that makes sense because, frankly, this CPU isn't competitive at a higher price. But what this price really reminds me of is back when AMD quietly came out with the Ryzen 1600 AF variant. That was the variant that was on the slightly newer process node. It went from, I believe, 14 nanometer down to 12 nanometer, and all the while was costing just $85 for 6 cores, 12 threads on a current gen platform at the time. And by current gen platform, I mean you could start with something like at the time, a B450 motherboard and upgrade all the way up to AMD's top-end CPU. Now, that's not quite true today because obviously you don't have an AM5 motherboard that's compatible with the 4500, but that doesn't stop you from upgrading. Depending on what motherboard you pair this thing with, you could theoretically go clear up to a 5950X, which is close enough to brand new platform that it would be a fantastic CPU. It's just a great upgrade path. And this really all plays down into the mindset of there aren't all that bad of products, at least so long as the product does what it says it's going to do. It's really that there are just bad prices for said products. So here is a parts list that I put together. And of course, the pricing will fluctuate quite frequently with these types of part lists, but you can put together a $600 PC based around a Ryzen 4500, and you're going to be getting a nice motherboard that you're going to be able to upgrade significantly down the road your CPU whenever you want to. You get 16 gigabytes of RAM with this. You get a terabyte of NVMe storage. You get an RX 6600 GPU. You get a case that actually has pretty solid airflow, and you have a power supply that's going to give you plenty of upgradability in the future. So all this to say that the Ryzen 4500, while once a borderline useless product, in fact, I believe Gamers Nexus called this a waste of sand.
Not just any CPU can be a waste of sand. AMD has products that are worth buying. It's not this.
Is actually not that bad right now in late 2022, to the point where if you're trying to put together a very budget-friendly but also still capable gaming PC, maybe this shouldn't be at the top of your list, but it should at least be worth considering. So with that, I will link down below Gamers Nexus original review of the 4500, because aside from the conclusion that it was just a bad CPU and it was not really worth purchasing, Gamers Nexus does a fantastic job of benchmarking CPUs, so you can kind of see where it stacks up to other CPUs, and then you can kind of do your own research to see what the prices of those other CPUs are versus the currently $80 4500. But at $80, it's actually somewhat difficult to beat a CPU that's on a recent architecture with such a good upgrade path, as well as having 6 cores and 12 threads. It's definitely worth at least considering if you're trying to keep your PC as budget friendly as possible, but still having a very capable and somewhat modern CPU. But with that, I do want to hear from all of you out there. What do you think about the new price of the Ryzen 4500? Is it worth your money? Is it worth your time? Or is it a hard pass? Let me know all your thoughts in those comments down below. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe. All those things are very helpful for the channel. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Hoosier Hardware. I'm Shane with Hoosier Hardware, and I will catch you hopefully very soon. Hopefully I can get back into the swing of making videos. But regardless, I'm done. I'll see you later.